video, I'm going to go over some printing tips for digital PDF patterns, as well as some things you might not know that you can do before you print the pattern to make it a little bit easier for yourself in the sewing process. So I'm going to share my knowledge with you in a program called Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Reader, anything that reads a PDF file, which are digital sewing patterns. So I have my sewing pattern here, and the instructions for my crossover contrast jumpsuit is all together with the pattern. So what I need to do first before printing all 49 pages is make sure my pattern is to scale. So instead of printing all 49 pages and then realizing my printer settings were not optimized for printing this pattern, I'm going to go ahead and select print, and then I'm going to go into pages. And you can just flip through on this little preview section, and note page 5 is where we have this little scaling reference. So I can scroll down here as well. So page 5, and this should measure 1 inch when the pattern is a scale, and these measurements represent the size key. So if I print, I just go to page 5, and it'll come up in this little preview. And depending on your printer, every printer is different. You might need to go actual size, shrink to get that to measure what it is meant to be. So once you go ahead and print page number 5, things are looking good. You want to make sure, you're on this, not in a landscape mode. You want to be a portrait or auto, making sure you're not printing on both sides of paper. You want just the pattern to be on one sheet because you need to see every page. So making sure that's selected. And then once everything looks good, you can go ahead and go back to print all of your pages. And if you like to print just the pattern and view the instructions on your computer to save paper, you can go ahead and click through and then just print from 5 to 49. So you can select here, 5 to 49, and you should see it come up here. Another cool thing, what you can do, if you go into the multiple selection, you can do multiple pages, and this is great for if you want to make like a doll size version of this pattern or a children's size, or you just want to test sew it in doing some of the seam finishes or construction in a half scale manner. You can play around with doing some layouts by reducing. You can reduce the, there we go. I like to do a horizontal with 2 pages. And then here we kind of have a 50% reduction in the scale, and you're saving some paper too. Or in here, you can do a custom scale. If you want to reduce the pattern by 60%, then you can go like that. Oh, and it looks like I accidentally did print it. So I'm just gonna stop that. But yeah, if you wanted to do a custom scale, let's say 70%, then you click through here and you see it's slightly smaller. So you can actually scale the entire PDF, and then you would not worry about this little size cube because it would be off due to this custom scale. So you can have fun playing with that if you want to make, again, doll's clothes or a children's size or a sample. Really have fun with this custom scale. And if you're going like less than 50%, then you can get into the multiple to save yourself some paper. Also, if you go into the organized pages, instead of flipping through and finding all the page numbers, let's say you just need the back piece to recut. Let's say it got lost, your rabbit chewed it. In my case, that always happens, but I want to remake it again without printing the pattern. I go into this view, and I can easily see 12, 13, 19, 20. Those are my back pieces to the pages. So I would go here. So 12, 13, 19, 20. 12, 13, 19, 20. And now I just print those, and I have all the pieces, all the pages I need to recut my back piece. And again, go with the scale on ours. And another thing you can do, so I have this lovely indie pattern, the Brunswick pullover by Hey June Handmade, and some files, and just make sure you look in this little layers section. So I'm going to scroll down to where the pattern starts. So this pattern has tons of instructions. So I'll probably start printing at page 29 and I'll just view my instructions online. But what you can do is multiple sizes on this pattern. And a lot of indie patterns do feature this in their PDFs, and it makes it really easy to just print your size. So if you go over here, it's like this stack of squares, click that, and here are layers, and each layer is a size. So let's say I'm size 10, I am going to unclick all of these little eyeballs they are, so viewing purposes. And now I only have this size line. I can even zoom out so you can see kind of on a bigger scale. I only have to deal with one size line when I'm cutting out, which is my size, so I'm not getting confused. Or if you need to grade between sizes, let's say, 14 in the bust and you grade down to 10 in the waist, you can just select those two. And so you can have those as a reference. So that's something you might want to check for if you only want to isolate your size for a pattern, then you can go ahead and print from there. So here I probably want to start on page 29 to 61. So I'm just printing the pattern and you see just those two size lines are coming up. And again, you might just want to even just print this one page to make sure it is to scale. So there you have it, just some little things and tips and tricks that you can do before you even sew and print your PDF digital sewing pattern.